No shot. We captured our first ever tornado live on stream thanks to storm chaser Edgar O'Neill. He's such a great guy. But we've got more tornadoes, more wind, and a big time update on the tropics, along with a possible relief in temperatures. Now, who's going to be affected most, and when is this all going to go down? I've got all that and more in your forecast starting now. Oh, look at this tornado. What a beaut. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to your Saturday, June 28th forecast. We're going to talk about all of that in the teaser and more. We're going to start here on the visible satellite. Now, a couple of features I want to draw your attention to. We've got a big low pressure that's spinning up here in Canada that is having a cold front along that on the back side of it, and that's where some showers and storms could focus on today, especially here in the northeast. We've also got another disturbance moving through Minnesota. This is a little bit of a weaker low pressure, but we will have a trailing cold front that storms will fire later on this afternoon and evening. And that right there, this one up in Minnesota, this one was what caused all of those storms yesterday. And we do have a little bit of a disturbance developing here in the Gulf. Now, this won't be an issue by any means, but this will lead to increased rainfall right along the Gulf Coast for our Florida brethren, at least for the next couple of days. But our Texas brethren, all the way to our West Coast brethren, you guys are looking golden. It kind of looks like a little bit of a ghost, wouldn't you guys agree? Ooh. And what a difference a week makes. This is our warning map right now, and we have no heat advisories or extreme heat warnings except out here in Arizona. Else than that, the country is looking much better. Wow, that's crazy. Now, the reason for that, guys, remember that ridge of high pressure that was sitting over top of the eastern United States? Well, now that has gotten weaker and weaker the past couple of days. So we don't have a dome of high pressure anymore. We've got pretty much zonal flow, so west to east type flow. And right along that, you've got a couple of dips in the jet stream. That's where storms will fire today in here and in here. And going throughout the next couple of days, notice how that pattern continues. We do eventually have a trough that pushes down into the Midwest and Northeast, which should bring some big time relief from the heat. Now, we are going to start off, I'm going to go day by day here. We're going to start with today, and we're going to look at the severe weather first. We'll look at the tropical activity later in the video. So here's your severe risk for today. This is Saturday, June 28th. We've got two areas. One here, that's area number one. We've got a second area in the northeast. That is area number dos. And for our Midwest brethren, we are going to have an almost repeat day where we have storms that form here and then slide to the south and east into the slight risk. And notice here, we've got this 5% risk area for tornadoes centered in Minnesota. So our Minnesota brethren in places like Minneapolis, Mankato, and St. Cloud, you guys are all at risk to see a couple of tornadoes today. And thank goodness our Des Moines brethren aren't going to see any, but our Sioux City and Sioux Falls also could see a tornado. Gosh, I'm so good at pronouncing city names. But then check this out, guys. We've also got a 2% in the Northeast in upstate New York and in Connecticut and Vermont and New Hampshire. Check it out right there. That includes cities like Albany, Pittsfield, Springfield, even up into Utica. And strong winds and hail also could be possible, especially with the storms out here in the Midwest. All right, so how are things going to time out? Well, let's go to about noon today, and let me show you a couple features that I'm watching. One, we've got this low pressure that's up here in the northeast that's going to slide off this way. Behind it, you're going to have that trailing cold front. That's where storms will form. You've got another disturbance up here in Canada that will also have a cold front, and that'll be your second area that storms fire later on this afternoon. We do have a third disturbance down here in the Gulf. That's going to spawn a lot of shower and storm activity throughout the day today. Let's first look at our Minnesota brethren today, because this is where we have the highest risk to get a couple of tornadoes. Let's go through 2, 3, 4 p.m. We could have a first wave that moves through. That will not be the main event, guys. The main event won't come until, boom, look at that, later on tonight. This is about 8 p.m. Eastern, so about right around dinner time, we've got a couple of clusters of supercells that form. Those will eventually form into a line and slam their way off to the south. We could have a couple of different complexes here that are pushing almost due south here. And right at the beginning, right when these storms form, that is when they'll have the greatest chance at producing a tornado. Just like yesterday, if we do get a couple of supercells, which right now the HRRR is saying the tornado threat will be maximized right along that boundary. So heads up, our Minnesota brethren, storms are on the way. Now let's go to the northeast. Let me show you how this is going to time out for our northeast brethren as well. Let's go a little bit further back. This is about 2, 3, 4 p.m. Notice we've got generally scattered storms across the northeast. Those will increase in coverage as we go throughout the day. Watch around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m. We've got this line of storms that goes from Vermont, New Hampshire, all the way back into Ohio. This is where we're expecting our greatest tornado threat this evening, and I'm expecting right around sunset, right around 6, 7, 8 p.m. is when your tornado threat will be maximized. But it's only at 2%. Now we don't need to freak out. And then going out and checking in on our southeast brethren, we're going to have widespread showers and storms ongoing throughout much of the afternoon, evening, as that daytime heating starts to bubble things up. We're going to see stuff bubble up and bubble down all the way through the southeast in places like Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, especially along the Florida Gulf Coast. Notice how much storm action we've got down in this area. The east coast of Florida is going to get killed. They're going to be fine, but you are going to see a couple of rounds of some pretty significant storms push through the state. All right, the real question is, are we going to get severe weather tomorrow? And the answer is yes. Check it out. This is the risk for tomorrow. We've got a similar area as today, a little bit further to the east down in Wisconsin, and that does include our Des Moines brethren, as well as our Oshkosh Bagosh brethren. And we've got a secondary area down here in Virginia, but that's a marginal risk, so I'm not too worried about that. But look, we do not have a tornado risk tomorrow on Sunday. Now, this could change depending on how things today evolve, and I do expect if there were to be an area, it would be up here in Iowa and Wisconsin, but we're not talking about a widespread tornado outbreak by any means. Wind is going to be your biggest threat tomorrow, but just because the severe risk tomorrow might be a little bit lower, that doesn't mean you're not going to get some big time storms. So let me time this out and show you how this is all going to go down. Early in the morning hours, you are likely going to have a decaying MCS, a decaying line of storms. You could also have storms going on in South Dakota as well. A noisy night is in store for those folks there. For the rest of the country, we could have a couple of storms ongoing on the Gulf Coast, but for the most part, things should be calm at the beginning of the day tomorrow. But watch as we go throughout the day. We've got another complex of storms that forms in central Iowa. This could pack a bit of a punch for our Des Moines brethren going into the afternoon and evening, but watch. Let me zoom back out as we go throughout 2, 3, 4 p.m. We've got widespread showers and storms from Canada all the way down through Florida. And those storms should continue about dark when things will start to die down, except for our plains brethren, for our Des Moines, Nebraska, and Kansas brethren. We likely are going to get a big time complex of storms that's going to be sliding its way off to the east during the evening hours and overnight hours on Sunday. But notice for the rest of us in places like Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, the Southeast, and Florida, and our Mid-Atlantic brethren as well, Sunday looks to be a stormy day. And just a note on overall timing for these things, guys, storms on Sunday, I would expect the later you get into the afternoon, the more likely you are going to receive showers and storms. That's a pretty generalized statement, but there's just too many storms to highlight. Too many storms. Just know if you live in Wisconsin, down through Nebraska, down through the plains, not Texas, unless you live in Houston, down through Florida and the Southeast, all the way up into the Mid-Atlantic, you guys are likely going to get storms on Sunday. It looks like a capybara, I think. And Monday, things should calm down significantly. We could get a couple of isolated severe storms in the Ohio Valley, places like Illinois, Indiana, and Western Ohio, and just to the east of the Appalachian Mountains here in Virginia, but I'm just not too worried. So it does look like things are about to quiet down in a major way. Now, in the beginning of the video, I did tease cooler weather could be on the way, and bam! We are going to be talking about a little bit of an icy relief for some. I'm going to start here on Saturday. Notice how in the Northeast, we've got this cold front. You can clearly see it right in there, and that will help bring some relief to our Northeast brethren, and temperatures, instead of being in the 90s, especially up here in Vermont and New Hampshire, we'll be talking about temperatures in the 70s. We still could be hot along the East Coast, but we've also got a secondary cold front starting to form right back in here. That's where all those storms will fire, and that could bring some relief in the heat before the end of the weekend. But if you'll notice, guys, Saturday and Sunday, we still do have widespread, look at this, this is on Sunday. We still got widespread temperatures in the hundreds in Oklahoma, down in the upper 80s in the southeast, close to 90 in some areas. We still have got a lot of heat sticking around, but at least some of those showers and storms should bring some relief, especially if you get hit pretty good. Now, looking at temperatures in the long term here, it does seem like we are going to get some relief. Notice, this is Tuesday, and we're talking about temperatures in the lower 80s across much of the Northeast and Midwest. We still do have some hot folks right along the coast, but at least our Midwest and some of our Northeast brethren are starting to cool down as we go into midweek. Now, we're still going to have temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s in some spots, but we're not talking about upper 90s like we were a little bit under than a week ago. So I know the title says an icy relief. That may have been over-exaggerated just a bit. Oh no. All right, but what about our dew points? This is what makes things feel so moist. And we're starting the period big time dew points in the Midwest and the Southeast. Now, as we go throughout the period, that cold front in the Northeast should help to clear out some of the moistness. But a lot of our dew points, a lot of our moisture is going to hang around for much of the weekend and even into the early parts of next week. Notice how we've got 70s dew points that go from the Gulf all the way up into the Northeast. It's going to be like you're in the ocean. But check it out, our Midwest brethren are getting a cold front that's starting to sweep down and helping to clear out all of that moisture going into the middle part of next week. Look at that. Huge relief here in the Midwest. Dew points only in the 50s and 60s. Fortunately, our Southeast brethren are going to stay moist. Going into the middle part of next week, it does look like things are going to cool down and get less moist in a major way. All right, we got to talk turkey here because we do have a 40% chance. This is now a 40%, sorry, this is a 50% chance. They just upgraded this to a 50% chance of forming a cyclone within the next 7 days. And that is this area right in here. Now, what does that mean? That basically means we've got an area of showers and storms that's trying to form into a tropical depression, a tropical storm, a hurricane. That's what a cyclone is. Now, there's no guarantee this system will become a hurricane. I don't think it will, but it does have a chance to become our first named system in the Gulf for this hurricane season of 2025. Now, looking at all of the models, they are all saying that this is not going to be a problem for the United States. Some of them do having it forming into a weak system, but it will quickly move into Mexico, which will not give it time to develop into a strong tropical system. And unless something crazy happens, it's not going to affect the United States. Whew. And just showing you one of the hurricane models. This is called the HMON model. I love that name. This model does have this storm getting its act together just in time. By the time it hits the coast right there, it does get organized fairly well, but look how quickly it slams on shore. Here is the Mexican coastline. Here's that system that just moved on shore. Once again, I'm not too concerned at this point. And the next name for a tropical system is going to be Barry. So if this thing does anything, it's going to be Barry. I like that name. All right, but what about our Pacific Ocean brethren? And you guys are going to get a tropical system. This thing is going to form likely into a hurricane right off the southwest coast of Mexico. And this is likely just going to piss some fish off and may eventually affect the Baja Peninsula. But for now, we're fine. Guys, the stream yesterday was truly insane. This was taken by Edgar O'Neill. Make sure you go to his YouTube page, go to his Twitter page, smash his follow button, smash his subscribe button, ba-boom! Because he did this all out of the kindness of his heart for us. Seriously, he's amazing. And here's his Twitter page right here. But if you haven't watched it yet, guys, I would go back and watch the stream from yesterday. It's this one. My hand is gone. Oh, my hand got cut off. I got it back. The abyss had grabbed my hand and now I have it back. All right, we're going off the rails hella fast. All I gotta say is set your calendars, set your DVRs. We are going live with a special edition of our podcast this Monday, June 30th. What's this? What is 30th? With Matthew Capucci. Brother Capucci is going to be on the show. So you guys got to check it out here on YouTube. It's going to be one heck of a show. All right, guys. That's all I got for you today. Find someone. Tell them you love them. telling me you care about them today. This is Stormcat 5, and I'll see you on the next one.